Hey guys, Mike the Alpha Hoarder here. How's everybody doing today? I got two packages I want to open up. These went through eBay's new authenticity process, and I figured I'd just share a little bit of data that I've got because I've already had a handful of packages go through there, and just tell you guys how I think that's going. So, I learned the hard way a couple videos ago that it's harder to blur out address information than I would have thought in After Effects. So I'm not going to show all the addresses on camera anymore. So anyway, if you're not aware, I'm sure everybody is by now, but starting in February, eBay partnered with CGC, I believe, and they began offering an authenticity guarantee process. So when they launched it, it was any card sold in America, I believe non-signed and raw, that sells for more than $750 either at auction or buy it now, would have to go through third-party authentication. And so the seller has to ship the card to the authenticator reviews it, and then they either return it to the seller and refund you, or they pass it along to you. And there was a lot of chatter online about how's this going to go. The grading companies are all backed up. Is this going to be a disaster? Or does this empower sellers on eBay, who might otherwise have been worried about scams, and buyers and sellers, I should say, and all sorts of problems. And so far, I've been really happy with it. I am on the buyer end at this point. I have had 25 items go through authentication from February 9th through the end of March. And it's gone really smoothly for me. I had one out of those 25 was rejected. It was a Sarah Angel, which one of these might be a different Sarah Angel. One thing I didn't like about the rejected card is they really didn't give you any information at all. Ooh, look at that. Speak of the devil. The lady herself. Oh yeah, very nice. So when the Sarah Angel that I got previously was rejected, they really didn't say anything about why, which I found kind of frustrating. And the seller didn't know why. They thought I had returned the card. And, it was no big deal, but I think a little more transparency would have been nice. I did end up calling, and the gentleman on the phone was able to pull up the notes from the authenticator. And in that case, it was a description mismatch. There was a lot more edge wear and some surface nicks that were not visible in the pictures or on the listing. The seller was really ticked off. He tried to sell me the card directly outside of eBay, but I was actually kind of happy with the report because I hadn't seen the surface scratches, and from the description that the guy read me on the phone, I'm not sure I would have been happy with the card. So it was kind of nice to have that protection in place and not have to go through the hassle of return and all that. But I could see the seller was pretty annoyed. But I guess that's going to happen. I think he then eventually relisted the card. This one's beautiful. Not gem mint or anything, but really nice. Wonderful addition to the Hoard. So except for that one, everything else has passed authentication. That's really washed out. Put her over here. Why is that color so off? Sorry guys, I'm still new at this. So except for that one, every other card that I ordered has passed through the authentication. And so the big question at that point is, how smooth is the process? Ooh, look at this guy. On the whole, I found it to be pretty smooth. Before pulling out the camera, I just tallied tallied up some numbers just so I could tell you. So the turnaround time across all of the different orders was between 2 days and 8 days. And the way I did that was I started counting from the origin acceptance, or USPS in possession of item or equivalent. So once a shipping company had the item from the seller, I counted how many days it took to reach the authentication hub, get authenticated, and then get back in the hands of a shipping company. So in other words, that's what was added to the process. Instead of getting shipped directly to me, it was shipped to someone else, and then they had to start shipping it. So I counted that whole extra leg. And the way it broke down was about 12% of the time, it took 2 days. 1/4 of the time, it took 3 days. 12% of the time, it took 4 and 5 days. A full 30% of the time, it took 6 days. And 6% of the time, it took 7 or 8 days. And I will say the slower times, the 8-day one, for instance, and all but one of the 6-day waits, they all happened in the first couple of weeks. So it is weighed more heavily to the beginning when I'm reporting that. But just based on the numbers I've got, about a third of the time, it's adding 6 days to the process. And about a quarter of the time, it's only adding 3 days. So it's really not bad. And the benefits as a buyer, of course, is I don't have to worry about the card being fake. Now, I'm reasonably well qualified to authenticate a card when I receive it, and eBay's protections for buyers were already pretty good. Beautiful addition today. Man, look at that. Look at the colors with those black borders. I cannot get enough, man. Anyway, the eBay protections for the buyer were already pretty solid. So it really seems to me that this helps sellers more than anything. One of the things I've worried about, you know, with the thought that someday I'm going to want to sell pieces in my collection, is what happens if you get scammed? You know, what if I send someone this card and then they complain and say, hey, you sent me a beta, or the one you sent me is fake, and they do a return and I don't get this card back. Something else comes back. What am I supposed to do? You know, when we're talking about collectibles, these things are just so rare. To lose them is just heartbreaking. The fraud is just terrible. So this changes all that, because now the card goes through eBay, basically, CGC, and they certify the card that went one way, and they'll certify the card coming back. So if somebody tries to pull a scam on you, if they try to tell you your unlimited ancestral recall is a proxy, eBay will see that a different card is coming back through. And that's been my biggest worry. Now, full disclosure, I haven't been selling cards. I haven't sold anything. So I don't know how bad that process is. I'm going a little bit secondhand on that, but it is one of the things I've worried about a lot. So on the whole, I'm pretty happy with the program, and I think they're doing a good job. And like I said, the slower times that I was getting were mostly in February. Once we got to March, it's been really hitting the 3 days is really the median there. So yeah, no complaints from my end. I think it's a good program. I like the way they're going. You know, making some moves to take the collectibles market seriously. It's nice to see. It's nice to see a big company that really doesn't have to care, putting in some effort to care. And in this case, I think they've done a good change. So maybe I'll do an update in a couple of months just to see how things have held up. But so far, so good. Thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed yourself, it would really help me out. It would help the channel out if you just took a quick second to run to the nearest local bookstore and buy a book of mazes. And then solve all those mazes with a marker. And then go in person to the nearest elementary school and donate the book. See you next time.